Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Greetings, everyone. Jonathan here. Look, I know that we warned you all that we would be late this week and that we would likely or maybe doing a Redux episode if we didn't feel good, if we continue not to feel good. As we mentioned in that, we both have been very sick. It's been very tiring, head cold. Basically, it's just been an ugly, ugly mess, and for either of us to sit around and talk for an hour and not sound basically like a snot factory and keep remotely on topic, even for us, it's just not been possible. We're both starting to come out of it, we're both feeling better, but we just couldn't push this back any further, so we're looking forward to coming back next week with a good episode. In the meantime, though, I did want to present an older episode to you guys, one that I think gets overlooked a lot, and it's from way back in our early days. It's episode 69, Nice, and it's our interview with the owner of the 13th Gate, Dwayne Sanburn, one of our first interviews that we did, and I think one of the best. So, on that note, take it away, Dwayne Sanburn and Haunt Weekly, way back in the damn near first year we were doing this.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and haunted entertainment industry. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. Thank you for including us in our iTunes as we come for episode 69. And we will try not to snicker because this week we are in the presence of greatness.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy. He is the most humble man I have ever met, I swear to God. But we are here today with Dwayne Sanburn from the 13th Gate Hotels and the 13th Gate Room Escapes. And I knew I was going to screw something up with that. I just always do. It's like a ritual with guests. But Dwayne, how are you doing? And thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me on the podcast. Appreciate it.
It's I'm a deep honor to have you here. We have been going to your haunted attractions, well, since you were in Alexandria.
That's a very long time.
Yeah.
and things have changed a lot since then.
Yes.
Right.
Though I have to say, go ahead.
I like the 13th Gate better than Louisiana Nightmares.
Yeah, so do I.
But
Nothing wrong with that.
But I will say we saw some influences and some things transfer when you moved to the 13th Gate. You still love running people over with cars.
Oh, yeah. Trains, cars, anything big.
Whatever you can run.
What is that about, by the way? Just curious.
I just think people are guaranteed to run when something big comes after you.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
That's
yet,
simple.
I keep learning in the New Orleans streets that's not always the case.
Not always, yeah.
Not always the case. But yes, we're here to talk with you today about both your haunt and your room escapes, which have become a major part of your business. And we just did a couple of them on Saturday, bringing our total, I think, of your room escapes up to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot to go over the course of this interview. It could be one episode, it could be 2. We're honestly just going in with us shooting the breeze, and we'll see where the conversation takes us, as we like to say.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, obviously it's 13th Gate, one of the best known haunted attractions, not only in Louisiana, but in the country.
Oh, thank you.
On all the top 10 lists. It's all over like Travel Channel and stuff.
You have your trophies
You have
over in
all-
the corner
Yeah, no, we're
that you
literally-
guys can't see, but they're there.
We're literally sitting
They're
in
hidden away.
We're literally sitting in the trophy room. And by the way, this is interesting because in one case you've got like actual trophies.
Yes.
And then in the case across from me, you have skulls,
Yes.
which I'm assuming are trophies too, but
Yes.
of a different sort. But regardless, I'm curious though, how did it all begin for you? From greatness comes from humble beginnings. What are the humble beginnings?
I think I always, as long as I remember, had a great love for Halloween and horror movies. And I went to a haunted house when I was about 13 years old.
Which one was it? Do you remember?
I think it was the Haunted Hotel.
Okay.
It was in Texas. I believe it was a haunted hotel. And I immediately thought, this is really cool. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so every Halloween I would dress up and have parties and hayrides. As I got into high school, everything got more and more elaborate. And When I got out of high school, I realized really quick that it was a business and I would need money to open up a haunted house. So
No money.
unfortunately.
Hang on.
So I went to college, became a registered nurse. I really love the medical field also. And went to work for the VA Medical Center in Alexandria as an ICU nurse. And I was there for 10 years. And then in the meantime, as soon as I graduated, the week after I graduated college, I rented the building that we built Louisiana Nightmares in.
Right.
And about a year and a half later, we opened Louisiana Nightmares.
And that was in Alexandria, Louisiana. And for those that don't know Louisiana geography, and I completely understand and respect your life choices, it's in roughly the center part of the
Central Louisiana.
It's called Central Louisiana.
Yeah.
Quite aptly, it's a modest-sized town. Not
It's pretty small.
Yeah, it's not a village.
not a village.
No,
It's not where you're from, Chris.
In a village.
It qualifies as an actual town. It has stores and things and more than one stoplight.
Plural stoplights. But yeah, so you rented the building and you opened Louisiana Nightmares.
Yeah, and it was fairly popular, and it gave us an avenue to work with and meet a lot of people, including a lot of members of the Louisiana 4-H Foundation.
Mhm.
And that gave us the opportunity to put a haunted house on LSU campus in 98. And we started doing a second haunt, which was portable, which we would build in Alexandria. And then we had 5 18-wheelers. We'd bring the show down to the livestock show arena on LSU campus. And we'd set up, we'd have a couple weeks to set up this massive 18,000 square foot haunted house. And then about 3 days to tear it down after.
How much sleep was taking place during those stretches there?
It was a lot of fun, and I didn't need as much sleep as I do now.
Oh, the curse of age.
Yeah.
So it really didn't bother me. I'm amazed now how much I did accomplish back then. But after 4 years of doing that, it really started to wear on us, and we couldn't get the quality haunted house we wanted. And it was just having to tear down and start over from scratch each and every year.
Mhm.
So we started looking for a location. The last year I was at LSU, they came to me and they said, "Hey, we messed up. We booked a horse show the day after Halloween. You'll have to be out in 12 hours."
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
so all of us worked as hard as we could, and I got a lot of volunteers to help me. And I think I went about 60 hours without sleep, and I left there and went straight to the hospital for a week. And that really cemented the fact that I needed to do something differently.
Yeah.
And so you luckily found the old Landmark Antiques building and moved into it right after Halloween. And the next year that 13th Gate was open. And that was in 2002.
Yep.
I believe that's correct. 2002. And it's been growing ever since. And then a few years, 4 or 5 years after that, we closed Louisiana Nightmares down. Mainly because the 13K was growing so big. I really had, I needed everyone at Louisiana Nightmares to come help me here. And that was a much smaller market. And we decided to focus all our energy on this haunted house.
Mhm.
And I stopped nursing somewhere in there also. And this became my full-time job. And this is what I do every day in and day out all the time.
Living the dream, as they say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this is, that makes you one of the few haunters I can actually say this about. This is literally your full-time 24/7 job.
It is. Luckily, I have a lot of people who love the haunted house who help me each and every year create it. And it's been because of their talents and their help. It's grown in popularity, and a lot of people come and see us enough that I'm able to do this year round.
But what were some of the changes you noticed when you moved from that knockdown haunt to finding a permanent location?
Well, after we were here a couple years, something big happened to me. The movie industry moved into Baton Rouge in Louisiana, started making a lot of movies around us. And I was able to, one of the guys who worked for me got a job on the set of The Reaping, Hilary Swank movie that was filmed in old Walmart not far from here. And I had the chance to go on set. It's the first movie I'd ever been on, I believe. And what really struck me was the set design and the realism. And here was this beautiful morgue and a 2-story sewer system and this underground tomb and all these beautiful sets. And it was just flats on the outside, and on the inside, you couldn't. If you woke up in this sewer, you swore we would have been a real.
Would have been very, very confused.
Right.
Yeah. And so I thought, man, why aren't we building like this? You know, this is incredible. So I met one of the scenics off of that movie, convinced him to come over and work for me, and also teach us how to do set construction and scenic construction. Like a movie, unless like most haunted houses were building at the time. And it overnight our haunted house started transforming. And it took us several years to change the whole thing over from what it was and to add more to it. But it certainly changed a lot. And then we started getting national recognition after that, shortly after that.
Yeah. I will say that coming to the 13th gate the first time, I remember being outside in a line that stretched all the way around the building. So we were there for a long time. It's okay. We weren't doing the reviews then. But,
We weren't questioning the throughput at that time.
but by the time I got inside and into your queue line, I had forgotten that I was inside of a metal building
Or
because it was that
a
convincing.
warehouse building. I don't have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
warehouse. It's
Well, I can look up in certain cracks and see tin up the top.
it's
So-
a lot of different materials. The building, the main building is about 170 years old.
Oh, wow.
And then, so it's a lot of history there.
Right.
And then it's had a lot of add-ons throughout the years, and some of it is metal,
Yeah.
including the lobby. I think has a metal roof on it.
Yeah. But, cause you've got the big arches and it feels like you're in like catacombs or something
Yeah.
and you just lose yourself in the set. And
Yeah,
it's
and-
really nice.
And that sequence before you go into the elevators in the beginning, the very first time I was there, the analogy I drew in my head was Tower of Terror at Disney World.
Yeah, certainly a lot of influence from Tower of Terror.
Because not just because of the elevators, but because of the detailing and the ability to get lost. And then that is what everyone says about the 13th gate is the detail is always amazing. They talk about that movie set design. They talk about the look and feel of it and how easy it is to get lost.
Right. And real quick, going back just a little bit in your history, how did you get the initial capital and what suggestions would you have for someone who's looking to either rent or
Well,
go pro?
when I started back so many years ago, I mean over 20, it was very hard. I actually went to the bank and they kind of laughed at me. Open a haunted house, sure, no thanks.
Yeah.
So conventional funding was out. So I got a second job working at agency nurse, and it was very good money. And I picked up a partner who was also a nurse, and he worked agency nurse as a second job. So between the two of us, we made enough money to open up our first one. Of course, it was a lot cheaper then to open up a haunted house, and the expectations of the public was a lot simpler back then than it is now. Nowadays, if I had to start over with no money, but like I did then, it would really be difficult to open a big commercial haunted house.
Right.
These days, it would be tremendously more difficult than it was back then.
Yeah.
So I found an old building that had the roof was caving in, and the owner was elderly attorney in Alexandria, and I made a deal with him. Hey, I'll fix this building up if you give me a good deal on the rent. And he did, and we did fix the building up for years, and so that helped quite a bit also.
Okay.
And that's one of the things, I guess, is it's as haunters, we're opportunists first and foremost.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Everything from dumpster diving to finding those
Absolutely.
random locations.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, the opportunist is. But yeah, I've always, I did find it interesting that you got your start in Alexandria in a smaller market, then moved into Baton Rouge, which also, of course, serves New Orleans, because it's about an hour's drive, and I'm sure you get plenty of people from New Orleans, and also Lafayette, too. You're right along that I-10 corridor at the bottom of the state. How did things change for you moving from the smaller market to the much bigger one?
Well, when we moved to LSU campus, we probably doubled our attendance, which was fantastic for us. It gave us enough capital to keep growing and keep building. And for the 4 years we were on LSU campus, we grew a little bit every year. But when we moved into our own location here, we had significant growth every year. And then when we got into Hot World magazine and started getting a lot of national recognition, that's when we saw the most growth out of everything that we've been doing. So I think that was her biggest, the fact that I changed the haunt to a much more quality haunted house, and then started getting national recognition for it. That changed things for us. And the location was really good. It took a couple years for everyone to figure out that we were here. And so after about 3 years, we started doing very well. Enough that we were able to support, what we do. And I was able to hire a crew. And, today we have a crew of about 12 people that work year round on the haunt and escape games. And then a large crew of escape also that run escape. So,
yeah, we'll be definitely talking more about the escape games in a minute, because there's a lot of really good questions I want to ask there. How did you do anything to cause national attention?
No,
or just spontaneously combust, as they would say.
I think so. I mean, I have to give credit to Hot World for one major introduction, because they did a big article on us, and I think we sent in some video to them, and then they took an interest in our haunt and did an article on us, and then from that I think we got on their list that next year, and then we started getting picked up. We also became a member of America Haunts, which has helped us quite a bit also.
Okay. Yeah. Just curious. So there's some potential suggestions for getting attention from great publications.
So you actually have a smaller crew than what I would expect for a haunt this size.
My crews, we bring in guest workers also throughout the year.
Right.
For example, the sculptor who I met on that movie still works for me, and in between movies, he comes in and does things for me. So he's still working for me years later, but he's not a full-time member. Right. So I have probably 10 part-time guys that come in from everything from costumes to special effects and things, or doing a custom piece for us and things like that. So between those two is probably 20, total. Yeah. And then, when we get closer to the Halloween, to opening, there's a lot of crew members that's come in.
And then we start seeing the ads and Craigslist everywhere that can be posted.
Yeah. Do you work any with LSU, since you're right next door with their theater group? Have you been able to recruit any from?
We get a tremendous amount of theater students from LSU each year that come and work for us. And we also take on some interns each year, a couple of interns, and sometimes they're from LSU.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I always tell people never come to the 13th gate on the day of an LSU game.
Oh,
yeah. No. We've made that mistake once.
I try to tell people not to come on the 2 Saturdays before Halloween, because it is a very, very long line. And the sad part is the Thursday before that, you can walk right in the door.
Yeah. We've done that. We've actually done exactly that.
I just don't understand why. But everyone wants to go out on Saturday night and show up here at 8:00
and then stay until 11. And that's one of the things we've been talking about a lot on this podcast, has been how internationally haunted attractions are not just purely a Halloween thing. They're not seasonal. We go to the UK, you go to Eastern Europe and so forth. Haunted attractions are a year-round deal. They're smaller, but they're a complete year-round deal.
And you can find those throughout the United States, also in tourist places like Ripley's that are open year-round.
But
Yeah.
here we definitely have a haunted attraction market that is purely seasonal.
Sure.
And
absolutely.
it's, as you noted, it's not just purely seasonal because we think of the season as 6 to 8 weeks. It's oftentimes purely those 2 weeks right before Halloween
That's
where
right.
the bulk of it comes in. And that is, I agree, that's insanely frustrating when you're trying to provide a good experience.
Right. Exactly.
And and you're thinking, like, I don't even know if half you guys showed up 2 weeks before, we'd have our line times and have the same through.
Right.
But yeah. So one thing I've really always loved about the 13th Gate, besides the set design, though, is the creative way you do handle the line and do handle bringing people in, and you have that area, which is like a little Disney-esque in that it provides things for people to look at and do and interact with. And then you separate the groups using elevators usually. And that seems to have had I would say I've had greater success in making it through the 13th Gate and not bumping into other groups than
Right.
just about any other haunt.
It's certainly, on the busiest nights, it's always going to be a problem. And that's with any large haunted house.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I wish there was a solution, but we all talk about it's the one major problem that all big haunted houses have is, what do you do when there's a tremendous amount of people show up all at once. And then, people don't want to wait in line for 3 hours,
No.
Right.
but they don't want to be rushed in too. So there's the rub. What do? You can't, because you're dependent on that income the last couple of weeks, you can't just turn people away.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
So that is certainly an issue. We've tried to educate our customers more about coming on different nights, coming early, but
Well, even we would just our short 3-night run for our haunt. We're like, hey, don't come Halloween night. Try coming the Friday or Saturday
Right.
before.
Yeah.
They don't listen.
no.
Is that part of why Necropolis was built? Was try to take some of the line and spread it out a little bit?
Definitely. I was hoping that it would alleviate some of the line, but I don't think it really changed anything at the 13K.
Yeah.
Well, and that raises the next question. Tell us about Necropolis 13. We completely forgot to mention it in the intro
Yes.
because I feel very remiss right now.
Necropolis 13, first let me back up. I was standing outside the haunted house one day and thinking about the throughput of the haunted house and thinking I needed to move the box office out of the doorway and that would help things.
Right.
And then I was looking around thinking, okay, where can I put it? And I turned around and there's this empty lot there with trees and an old house that was falling in on it.
I actually remember when it was exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I approached the owners of that property and ended up leasing it. And they also own this building. So ended up later on leasing this building from them also. And we cleared it and fenced it up. The first year we moved our box office over, and that was a great thing for us to do. That helped us a lot. And then, well, I got all this extra space. What do I do with it?
Right.
So we decided the first 2 years we had it to put in a mini carnival. We had a lot of games. We had a lot of different vendors come out. We tried, I think we had like 15 different things going on, from zombie paintball to laser tag and laser tag of Baton Rouge had a booth, and lots of different stuff out there.
My friend still talks about being buried alive that year.
Oh yeah, Buried Alive.
The Buried Alive Simulator.
That was a major fail because it was a fan. We put a tremendous amount of work in it. We had a video that you looked at, and it looked like you were looking through a hole in the top of the coffin, and you could see yourself being buried.
Yeah.
And the pallbearers carrying you out to the grave and then burying you, and then the rats and all would come out of that. But unfortunately, no one wanted to get in the casket.
Well,
Claustrophobia is.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, man, they were going to be lining up for this. Such a fun ride.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to get in it.
I just realized I've never actually done one of them.
Well, no, and we've seen them at a couple of other places.
Yeah, Rise had it
not
one year.
exactly like that, but
Right.
we've
But
never
they were very-
seen anybody in them.
No one.
I
Was
only
getting
know
a casket.
one person who's
And
done.
in fact, recently when we were at Poplarville of all places, they had one
Yeah.
set up there for their little theater haunt, and once again, no one in it.
Yeah.
So I guess there's another lesson here. We're in some words of wisdom this week.
Right.
So we ran the carnival for a couple of years, but it was so much work is particularly working with other vendors and trying to get them to come out on the right times. And it was more work than I wanted to deal with. I really needed to control it all. And so at that point, I was either going to start buying up Carnival stuff or do something different. And ultimately, I decided to put a cemetery out there for a second attraction.
Right.
And it's been popular. It's very unique attraction in very Louisiana.
Right.
A very New Orleans cemetery. It's about 400 crypts, underground catacombs, lots of zombies, lots of overhead scares and scares from different areas. Hard to change because it's not without its issues. It is a cemetery, so it's hard to do something completely
You can't
different.
just move a few panels around and
you can't, no, it's definitely all concrete out there.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Is that frustrating, the designer in you?
Well, it's my main focus is always on 13th Gate.
Right.
And whatever time we got left, we go over and scramble and try to change things for Necropolis. For someone who's never been to it, it's fantastic. I think, and then there's a lot of scares out there. And the people who do go to 13th Gate, Necropolis, they say that it's, a lot of people say it's scarier than 13th Gate.
Well, and I think a lot of that's because Necropolis, to me, is very actor driven.
It is.
Where 13th Gate is more scene and set and more, character driven, scene driven. That is definitely actor and scared. I often refer to it as an actor playground.
Yeah.
Because that's what you basically seem to have done, was give the actors all these opportunities and let them use their judgment and Godspeed.
It's also much more close quarters.
Oh, it is very close quarters.
Very intimate.
A lot of pop outs, a lot of things you don't see coming.
Right.
And quite a few dark areas or dimmer areas and on.
Yeah.
So I love voodoo theming and that particular theme. So it's a lot of fun to do things out there. But it is what it is. It is a cemetery. And so you can't put a clown house out there. So
I'm sure many people are very appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The mortuary.
But for an add-on haunted attraction, it's a sister attraction to the haunted house. And I think it's done great. Yeah.
And it's also, I think, one way it helps, at least I imagine it helping, is from a business standpoint, those yummy combo tickets. You can sell, get more money per customer.
Yes, definitely.
So that's always been one of the dreams, is to get those combo tickets and get the ability to sell multiple attractions. A lot of haunters would absolutely kill for that opportunity. And so I think that was a great move to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So has it been a little bit of a struggle though, having it be an outdoor attraction?
Oh, absolutely. The year before last, we had rain almost every night. It was just, it was.
Welcome to Southern Louisiana. May I take your order, please?
It was the worst rainy October we've ever had.
Yeah.
From doing it.
Do you carry rain insurance on the Necropolis?
Well, normally October's dry for us.
Yeah.
But that particular year we just got hammered. So it was closed a lot.
Yeah.
And we had to bring in a lot of gravel, when it wasn't closed between days. We would just fought with that for the whole month, but normally it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess you are right though. Southeast Louisiana is not a bad place to have an outdoor attraction realistically.
Yeah.
Southern Louisiana in general.
Yeah.
In terms of how many rainy days you can expect. So yeah. You've got your two attractions. You've gotten all this, acclaim. What was one of the moments that made you realize you've got something special here? Or do you still not believe you have something special? And I'm completely putting you on the spot unfairly.
I'm happy that our customers are happy. I want to put on a quality attraction, and I love it that people are enjoying what we do, because it does take a lot out of us. We work year round on this haunt.
Mm-hmm.
If people do not understand, y'all do, but the general public they don't understand how much it takes to put on a haunted
They
attraction.
think you plant a seed and the haunt grows.
Yeah, I sit on a couch all year, and then in September, I get up and open the doors.
Exactly.
And
Probably how it works.
No.
so yeah, I'm always I take it to heart when something fails, and I'm very happy when we do have successes in the haunted house. When things work according to plan, it's great.
Now, one of the things that I know has been part of your business these days, and something I think is very interesting considering what we discussed earlier, is movies shooting at the 13th Gate.
Yes. Although it's in decline now, it's really changed over the last year, and hopefully they'll be back. But I think they've changed some of the tax codes, and the movie industry's pretty much in a decline over the last
At least in Louisiana.
Yeah.
It's
definitely less throughout the state.
Is it ever surreal, though, seeing your haunt in a movie?
I wish it was a big movie. It's a little more sci-fi, but that's okay. I'm happy.
Well, you know what you should do. We were talking about this in the last episode when we just posted. You should have a movie night where you come and sell tickets and bring people to see the movies that were shot there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In the set.
And then have to shoot instead of the set's still up. You can shoot in the.
Our biggest one we had was Pitch Perfect 2, so that was a big movie. They shot it.
I would not have guessed that.
No.
I am not going to lie to you. If you had asked me to start naming movies that might have been shot at the 13th Gate,
Yeah.
I would have gotten through about a couple hundred before I made it down there.
They shot here for about 3 weeks, and they were here 30 days total with prep. And they built a set in our warehouse, but it's the underground scene for the riff off, I guess it is called, in the mansion when they go under in the basement. And
Let's see the first one.
yeah, so it was a good movie. And then we've had 3 sci-fis, and they've been a lot of fun. My favorite was Dead Steel. Mm-hmm. We got to participate. It was a very small movie, small cast and crew, and we got to be on set every day and help out, and that was a fun experience for us.
Nice little change of pace.
Definitely, yeah. It's nice to do something completely different. It's very stressful because you have a lot of times you'll have over 100 people in your haunt.
Right.
Camped out in wires and pulling walls down and drilling holes, and it's very stressful. Yes.
Yeah.
And but food's good.
Well, there's that.
Catering is excellent. There we go.
So they bring you food while you work.
It was Taco Tuesday every day.
But yeah, they're a lot of fun. So I'm sure we'll continue to do them if the opportunity arises. We've had a few music videos also shot here. It's been fun.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by that idea of having something shot and seeing on the screen that you built, ending up in a movie.
Yeah,
that's always very, very cool.
So since things have changed over the years, how involved are you still with the build and everything? It sounds like very is the short answer. I have my hands on everything here, but I'm pulled in every direction all the time. So luckily for me, I've got a good crew that understands exactly what I want. Yeah.
And I'm able to step away from a lot of the smaller projects now. And unless there's something that's very big, very important project, then I'll jump in and help it with construction. But I don't screw up too much plywood anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But you do most of the planning still.
I do all of the design. I'll never give it up.
Yeah.
That's the funnest part.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
So all the design I continue to do. Yes.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Every haunter loves to talk about their challenges with the local fire marshal. If you run into any issues,
I've had I've got more stories than probably you've got time. but
it's a big SD card. I'm just telling you.
But no, we have a good relationship with the fire marshal, and we have the fire marshals here every night that we are open. They do fire watch, and we work closely with them every year on design, and they come in and inspect us before we open. And, been working with them for years, and I think it's a good thing. And I think any haunt that misses that is putting the entire industry in jeopardy. If they skip over that step. And I always try to tell newcomers when I do have the opportunity to talk to them, like at Transworld, that's one of the first things you have to do is go, see your fire marshal. Because I had been to a lot of haunted houses over the years, and a lot of dangerous haunted houses. And it's only going to take one to have something bad happen. It's going to change the entire industry, and that can not only be said about haunted houses, but also this new industry, the escape games.
Right.
Especially with something like the escape games that has a lot of electronics. And a lot of people jumping into it, not really knowing what they're doing. I worry. As a matter of fact, after we opened up, I was called to the State Fire Marshal's office to explain exactly what an escape game was, because they were getting so many requests and plan submittals and things, and they did not understand it entirely. And they've since changed the code since I opened to be more stringent at 3 or 4 escape games in. Right. They started seeing that this was going to be a trend, and they needed to pay more attention to it.
Well, and I've noticed the regulation of escape games has not been in place. The government in general did not get ahead of it, because when we went to the one in New Orleans, we noticed that they were registered as a museum because that was the closest thing they could register their business as.
They're not sure exactly where the place is.
Yeah. It's such a new thing.
Different thing for sure.
It's so new that I don't think the governments are fully ahead of the curve on it yet.
Right.
Yeah. With your teardown haunt that you did at LSU, what were the permits and fire marshal?
Well,
things
when
like
we were
that?
on LSU campus, we worked with State Fire Marshal, because that's their jurisdiction.
Right.
And so they were. We worked very close with them in the show arena. They had sprinklers there, but we also had fire hoses, and it was a long list of stuff we had to do.
Okay.
Submit plans every year and go through the inspections, and had to be ADA and everything.
Right.
So it was a lot of stuff.
So from
Smoke
the
detection
beginning,
system, everything, we had to install it before we could open.
Yeah.
I know that's a problem a lot of knockdown haunts face, though.
Yeah, there was actually a haunt shut down in New Orleans this year.
Really?
Yeah.
For lack of any permits, really.
14 violations.
Oh my.
Something like that.
Just decided to open without call.
Yeah, they were a art space.
We could talk about it later.
We'll talk about
Let's talk about you.
But long and short of it, and also, I remember one we visited in Slidell, but I sat there wondering how the hell did it pass any fire inspection whatsoever? That one's long gone the way of the dodo. That one's been gone.
No.
And we only got to go to it 1 year. I think that thing disappeared not too long after you guys were opening.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt unsafe in your haunt.
Oh, no.
At any point, in any iteration that
other than the intended levels of unsafety.
Right.
Oh,
They want you to,
yeah.
That's what I've always tell everybody. We want you to feel as that you're in a very dangerous situation, but really you're very, very safe.
Right.
I like to compare it to a roller coaster.
Right.
Where it's going to seem like you're about to die, and we're trying to get those emotions out of you, but you're really probably in the safest place you can be in the universe.
Right.
Right.
Because not only do you have all those code compliance, but you have EMTs usually and police everywhere. And outside of actually being in the hospital, you're probably as safe as it gets.
So you mentioned that a lot of people some people have said that Necropolis 13 is actually scarier than 13th Gate.
Right.
What do you say to the people who think that the 13th Gate is not as scary? Because we've actually gotten flack for saying that
we really love
your haunt.
Well, I think that we have. I wouldn't say that. Okay, let me start with so. If you went to House of Shock is definitely scarier than on a certain level than 13th Gate, I think, personally.
Okay.
But they are touching on themes that we do not, because we're trying to be for, I'd say if you compare us to a movie, we probably are PG to R. Close, right on the edge R, but not. House Shock definitely R.
Yeah.
Hard R, yeah.
Yeah, horror.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely going to be more scarier to some people.
Yes.
Right.
But because we're trying to reach a wider demo, I think that we have to tone it down a lot. I mean, that said, I think we do some very realistic scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the things we have are, I believe, are as scary as any haunted house you'll come across.
Mhm.
But also, when you come on a night when there's thousands of people in line and we have to increase throughput where there's, 15 of you in a group, it's a
Right.
lot different going into a haunted house with 15 people than it is with 2.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And that's going to change your scare factor.
Or 15 with 100.
And when one person stops and won't go because they're scared, then they back up, there's no way to change that,
Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely a scarier, more personal show because our actors have more time to get personal with you,
Right.
when you come on a slower night.
Yeah.
And you'll see a completely different kind of show on a slower night than you will on that Saturday before Halloween. It's just the way it is.
Definitely.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, when I think of the 13th Gate, one of the first and foremost things I think of is the set design, the immersion factor, the getting lost in this alternate reality.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always like a lot of haunts. They really love doing pure distract and startle, room after room, hit after hit. 13th Gate likes to take its time and toy with you in certain sequences.
Sure.
I see a different pacing in 13th Gate than I see.
And all of our, I think also I'm trying to put on a show also.
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
don't, it's not all about jump out, for me. I want to do a little more entertainment. I think I want to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think I fell into escape games so well is because, it's storytelling.
It is.
And that's part of, I think what makes this a little different from a lot of haunts is that you will see characters that are not there just to jump out at you and scare you, but are being part of a overall story. Like in London,
Right.
when you go through, you're going to see a lot of different characters that are doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're living in that space.
Right.
You're invading their space.
Yeah.
But they're not hiding, waiting for you to jump out. Per se, not everyone.
Yeah, my favorite line one of my favorite lines from the 13th Gate character actually was in that London sequence. And it was going around that hairpin turn at like the stable area that this was a few years ago. I'd done a redesign. And the exact line was, and it was just some dude laying on the ground in the shadows.
It's plague victim.
Playing victim and just
Plague
called.
victim.
And it's like, the hell? So subtle stuff like that, I really do love it. I mean, I so enjoy that. I enjoy the creativity of it, both on the actors and the set designer side of it.
Yeah.
What will you say is your most successful scare that you've ever
Oh,
built?
nice.
Uh-oh.
If-
Running people over. I know it's coming.
I don't know. There's been so many.
Yeah. Well, your favorite one then. Maybe
Uh,
not most successful.
They just has him choose between his babies. We get
I'm
this.
sorry.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I can tell you that speaking of big things chasing you, the funnest spot to stand is at the end of that train tunnel.
Right.
Okay. Because people fly out of it and they are screaming. So it is definitely effective to have big things and loud things chasing you. But
Right.
it's really hard to say. I've been doing this for so long. We've had some really great scares throughout the years.
And I've noticed you guys seem to follow the principle that the simple scares are the better ones too, as far as the actual scare part.
Sure.
You don't overthink things.
It's not overbuilt.
It's not overbuilt. Yeah, I like overbuilt.
Yeah.
And like I remember a few years back, and I think this is a scare that went away, was you had a clown actor way above a head, had a fence
Yeah.
that he was
he'd
pretending to
fall
shove it.
Yeah.
That was one of the few times I really
it.
and truly got startled in the haunt because the way he shoved the fence, the way everything was positioned, it looked like it was
Right.
coming down on you.
Right.
It's not only that, but I think that was the first from above scare.
Yeah,
That
I think
we
it's
saw.
not even
Oh, right.
predated
Yeah.
Necropolis in that
Oh.
regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, above this head scares weren't very common then, but yeah. So, but do you have the train tunnel or anything else that comes to mind?
Well, let's see. The elevators are very popular.
Mhm.
You know, it's very strange. Everyone has scared of something different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, so, or snakes, for instance.
Right.
People are either
Oh, God.
they have no interest in snakes whatsoever, or they are terrified of that room.
I know.
And it's either one or the other.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it is really dependent on the person. What,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm sorry.
No.
We have a memory here that's personal.
We have
a friend,
a friend who was working in ours for a little bit. She's since moved out of town.
but we try to drag everyone helping
But
us
we're
out
like,
working with us
yeah,
up
you're
here.
gonna come and you're gonna have a great time because we
It's a
bring as many people as can come whenever we do, and buy their tickets and come inside and So on the way here, we're almost here, and she's like, "Well, what's the first thing you see?" I'm like, it's just an elevator.
It's an elevator.
She's like, "An elevator? Really?" And gets really scared. And then it took 15 minutes to get her to go into the snake room
See.
because both of her phobias were there.
Right. So,
and we do.
so that's our goal, is to try to get a little bit of everything through the haunt. Luckily,
Yeah.
we have enough space that we've been able to add a lot of different phobias. And so,
Yeah.
whatever you're scared of, somewhere in here, you'll
Right.
find it. So,
Well, on the opposite side of the question, what is the thing that you think did not work as well as you?
oh goodness, we
Right.
have, sometimes you can build and spend a lot of money on a set, and it just fails completely, and people ignore it. And then the simplest thing will scare the hell out of people.
Right.
And you wonder, why am I doing all this?
It's like the
So-
cat playing, or the kid playing with the box instead of
Yeah,
the
just
toy.
turn it into a
Right.
giant
Yeah.
blackout maze and you'll be fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had many things like that happen. You think something's going to be cool, and it just falls flat. And then other things, y'all talked, and many people said, "Oh, the Beehive, we hate the Beehive." But then, I was in a store somewhere, and I had my T-shirt on, and the girl said, "Oh, I love 13K, except for that one thing that scared me to death. I won't go back." Well, what was it? And I'm thinking snakes or elevator or whatever.
Yeah.
The bees scared me to death. I'm not going back over there. I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
You know what? Fine. That's like 3 years of haunt review work. This place down the drain. Thank you, random lady.
So, but for the majority of people, that one probably was a fail. But it's got the train in it now. So they're in that space now. So.
Right.
Well, I always loved the part that came after with the lights that followed you, and it came after for a while there. Exit the Beehive, you go into the temple type thing.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about it was like Egyptian writing on the walls that lit up as you passed.
Oh, yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a long time. Yeah. That was
Okay, I'm
that's where
dating
the cave-
myself.
That's where the cave is now.
Right.
So the cave's been in for about 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself quite thoroughly here. That's fine. I'm good. I'm okay with that.
But it lives on. It's in a movie.
Yeah.
It should have been. That was a really, really cool looking set. That could have been like some Indiana Jones adventure stuff. That would have been great in a film. Don't know why that one wasn't.
Mhm.
But yeah. I guess that's the thing. When you do a haunt, especially when this size, you're going to have hits, you're going to have misses.
Sure.
And you can't always predict what's going to be what.
No. And then after doing a haunted house this big for so many years, it gets more difficult to come up with new things, entire themes,
Right.
to build a whole set that's completely different that we haven't done already.
Yeah.
Everyone always asks about bringing the asylum back. We did an asylum, then we updated the asylum, and for 7-8 years we did the asylum, and then we wanted to change, so we put in London. But I mean, you want to not repeat yourself, and
Right.
And I remember the first year you did that because we were taking someone through,
Mhm.
and I go, okay, you're going to come out the elevator, and then it's going to open the door. It's going to be the asylum, and then it opens the door up, and it's like, oh, well, hell.
Yeah. Everything's new. We don't know what's going on.
Well, screw it. You're on your own.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you, buddy.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to coax someone else when they're going through.
Yeah.
trying to give him a little encouragement. But yeah. So, but yeah,
Yeah, and I do like that you have like bigger, scary things all the way down to fart jokes. With you know,
well, in almost every horror movie, there's humor.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes you relax,
Mhm.
and it makes it. I mean, if you walk through stressed, it's hard to scare you because you're expecting it. But if we can make you laugh a little, then
Right.
you relax, and it's easier for us to get you again. So,
your
Yeah.
shields come down a
Yeah.
little bit.
yeah.
so dark humor is it's a lot of fun to build into your haunt.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay. So we'll move on to the escape rooms in just a minute.
Yeah,
Talk about that because I think we just about got enough for one episode.
Okay.
So we can break here and just do the second one on escape rooms.
Okay. Well, I do want to do
Okay, well,
one
of course.
thing quick.
Well, no, you can't do it. No,
Okay.
Not allowed.
Fine.
fine.
There.
No, go ahead.
I'm the girl. I'll be quiet.
Oh.
So whenever, last year when we were going through both Necropolis and through 13th Gate, there was a security issue and you've got a crack force on your team, which is, do you train them in house? Do you hire an outside company? How do you make sure that the people going through are safe and that your actors are safe?
Well, I have a great relationship and a lot of the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Department are friends of ours. And we've been working with them for years, and they are here on site each night that we are open outside.
Right.
And in-house, we have an excellent in-house security team that are, most of them are members of our crew and year-round workers.
Right.
And so they know the haunted house like that. You know, they can get anywhere in the haunt.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And when you're security,
Oh,
obviously, is to be able to get anywhere, anytime, really quick.
Right.
And so all of us are linked by two-way radios.
Mhm.
And we have about a little over 100 in service while we're open. So
Yeah.
each room or each actor or and each security and stage manager, crew member all have radios.
Right.
So we can all be in constant communication with each other. And we have a lot of actors here. So when a person enters the haunt, we pretty much, someone has their eyes on them the whole time they're going through. And I'd love to say that we never have any issues with anyone, but that's of course not true. Every once in a while, we're very close to LSU.
Right.
After LSU football game, we get a lot of people in there drinking.
Yeah.
And of course, then you'll have some issues. But people are really surprised how quickly
Mhm.
that we can be in a scene if there is a problem and how quickly it's taken care of.
Right. Yeah. I was impressed with how quietly too. And you also last year incorporated metal detectors for the
We did.
haunt.
I have a friend who has a very large attraction, and he started repping for metal detectors. And as you know, we had some shootings in Baton Rouge.
Right.
And he called me up and said, "Hey, would you like one of these? It couldn't hurt, to have
Yeah.
one." And so I said, "Well, you know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea." So we put one in, and it's not because of anything that happened here.
Right.
It's just one additional security measure for us.
Yeah.
So, and it's worked great since we've had it.
Well, move into the room escapes.
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. No, those were some very good questions. I'm glad you asked them. And so what I'll do is we'll stop here and we will pick this up next week as we continue the conversation with Dwayne to discuss his foray into room escapes and what you guys may be thinking about it can expect as you jump into the business for yourself. So until next time, follow us on Twitter at Haunt Weekly, follow us at Facebook at Haunt Weekly, and we will continue the conversation with Dwayne next week.